So over the last week, we gave you all the opportunity to reach out with any and every question that might be on your mind to ask Tim. So today we've got Tim with us. We're going to cover everything about YouTube, parenting, his personal life. We're exposing it all for you here today. So we're going to get into that and ask Tim your burning questions.
Hey, welcome to the Video Creators Podcast presented by vidIQ. You know how you put a lot of time and energy into your YouTube channel for not nearly enough growth? Yep, we get it. We are here today to help you change that.
Hello, creators. How are you guys? It's great to see you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode. I think it's good to see you again, I should say. I'm a little bit skeptical about this episode.
Nervous?
I have not had a chance to preview the questions that will be asked, and so this will be interesting. But anyway, yes, welcome to another episode. Every week we try to give you something that's going to help you. Hopefully this one turns into one of those too. Help you grow your YouTube channel, grow your business, and reach more people and change their lives with the message that you're spreading and the business that you're growing around that audience on YouTube. Sam, you recently worked with a creator named Alan Smith, right? Mm-hmm. And we're going to hear a little bit from him here in a second. But why don't you set up this week's creator spotlight, the creator we want to share about here?
Yeah, so I actually jumped in to a discovery call with Alan first, and we just kind of talked about his channel and heard some of his vision for the goals moving forward, just kind of what he wants to be moving towards with the channel. And he ended up getting the 30 Days to a Better YouTube channel and booked a consultation. So I actually had a second chance to talk with him in a consultation a couple of weeks ago. And we really dove into his channel, talked about a lot of the strategy behind how to put his best foot forward and actually move forward with intent. He was getting caught up just kind of seeing some videos are performing a lot better than others, and I don't really know why. I don't really know how to move forward the best way possible. So we talked a lot about that and had an opportunity to catch up in this creator spotlight, and that was a lot of fun. So here's Alan sharing some of his story. So for today's creator spotlight, we've got Alan with us. Alan, tell us a little bit about how you got started with YouTube and kind of what that's looked like so far.
Sure. I really got started with YouTube. I'm a pastor. And so one day we were at a friend's house. It was a single mom. My wife and kids were all over at their house hanging out with her and her daughter. And she had just recently moved into a house, and I was asking, like, hey, have you made a fire in your new fireplace? And, have you used your grill? Have you done these things? And every time she would say, well, no, I don't know how. No one ever taught me how to do those things. And I thought, man, I really want to be able to help her. And so I said, hey, I'm kind of busy. I got a life. I got 3 kids. I can't really come over here and show, but I could show a video of how to do this, how to, start a fire in your fireplace or how to use your grill or those things. And also, we had multiple students from our student ministry that were just getting into their first house, and they needed some help with home maintenance and other things like that. So I was like, hey, I can start putting these videos on YouTube. And at the time, I needed to do some stuff on my house. So I was fixing things and showing them how to do that. And then lastly, my father and my father-in-law both are extremely handy. And so I really wanted to kind of prove to my wife that I could be handy as well. And so kind of started doing things around the house and put them on YouTube and showing her like, hey, look at all these things I'm doing as well. So it was kind of wanting to help people and also prove to myself that I could do it as well.
Yeah. So you're kind of building the plane as you're flying it a little bit.
Exactly.
Right now.
Exactly.
I love that. Nice. Well, I guess kind of as you've been making videos and kind of moving through this, I guess what are some of the roadblocks that you've hit as a creator?
Some of my main ones that I've noticed is I really use YouTube for information. And so I thought it was more based on just information. Like I'm going to click on this, I'm going to search for this video and I'm going to watch it. And some of it is based on search. But it's a lot about how you package that search information. And that's kind of the roadblock I was running into was I was just putting information on there, not really worried about thumbnails or titles, just how to do this, how to, start a fire, how to use a grill, how to change, something like that, whatever that might be. And I realized I kept getting pretty much just the basic views, not really growing very much, just getting some people coming to watch those. And that was kind of it. So that was kind of mainly the roadblock I kept running into is my information was just kind of out there and it wasn't packaged correctly, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely in a lot of the consultations I do, a lot of the creators that I work with, it's sometimes you think there's a much bigger solution out there, or maybe you need to completely turn around and revamp the entire channel, where in reality, a lot of times title and thumbnail are those two biggest, it's going to move the needle the most for you. So I know we actually did a consultation just a couple of weeks ago and talked about a lot of this stuff and kind of what we could work on with the channel. So I guess what are a couple of kind of the key takeaways that you took away from that conversation?
Yeah, and I will be honest, it did make me nervous after our consultation because it just was another step that I had to do in my YouTube journey and making a video. But some of the main things I took away was, again, like I mentioned, how to package the video. It's a lot of the same information, but it's how to make sure that the title and thumbnail has some intrigue, has some kind of information, and is it kind of, does someone need to click on that video? Again, is it clickable? And then also knowing my audience. I kind of knew it, but just in our consultation, we really talked about exactly who is my audience, what do they need, and why would they click on my video? And so that was kind of the goal that I got from our consultation, was knowing who my audience was and then building intrigue in my titles and thumbnails.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were saying, before we hit record just a second ago, you're just in a couple of weeks, you're already starting to see some success from that.
Yes, it was super weird. And it just, it blew my mind because I was nervous. I was speaking to my wife about it. I was just like, hey, I've been doing this for 2 years, but he said I need to do this. I'm just going to try it and see what happens. And literally my last 2 or 3 videos have been my best 2 or 3 videos in the last like 10 or 12. And I even went back and changed some of my thumbnails from my semi-recent videos in the last month or so. And those now have been performing better in the last 2 weeks. So it's kind of weird, kind of crazy, but it's definitely been good. So,
man, I love that. That's so encouraging. Super awesome to hear that. Really, I hope that continues. I guess if you were to be speaking to another creator who's kind of in a similar spot, they're hitting some of these roadblocks, they're kind of lacking some direction as far as how to take these next steps forward. What would be some advice that you would give them?
And I have done this. I have a few friends that are also in the YouTube game, and they've kind of hit the wall and they're asking, questions. I've definitely recommended finding someone like video creators like you guys and just having someone point you in a direction. Because again, with YouTube, we're all trying to figure it out, trying to see exactly what's going on. But if you can have someone that can give you some clarity and just guidance and kind of give you a direction to head into, I would definitely do that. And even some of the stuff I've said, again, it's about packaging and working on titles and thumbnails and that kind of stuff. But again, I would highly recommend 30 days. I did that, the 30 Days to a Better YouTube Channel class. That really helped me understand kind of what's going on in YouTube. And then when I met with you, you gave me super specific information that detailed with my channel. And so I would recommend people do that. I kind of am upset I didn't do it earlier. I'm a little hard-headed and I thought I could do it better. And so, but I would recommend people, do a class, do a consultation, or whatever it might be, to kind of get some information and to help get started earlier.
Yeah, man, love that. Yeah. Free plug. Love it.
There you go. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Alan, super excited for you. I'm really, really excited to hear just after a couple of weeks, you're already starting to see a lot of success. And, hopefully as you continue to learn some of these things you're going to build and fix and put together and keep on impressing your wife, then hopefully these views will keep pouring in and this will be a really good thing for you. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Alan.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks, Sam.
I think it just goes to show the power and the impact of just having the right guidance to show you exactly what to do. It's so easy. Like for him, Alan, you just get so wrapped up in I've always done it this way. I've done it for 2 years. And then someone's like, yeah, well, if you want to get different results, you should do it different, right? We already know what those types of how doing it that way, we already know how that's going to perform. So if you'd like to get into a discovery call like Alan did and talk to Sam, I think Ingrid's doing some of them and as well now, you go to videocreators.com/discovery call, and it's just a quick 15-minute time for us to catch up, to connect, to hear a little bit about your story, what you're working on YouTube, what the challenges are that you're facing, and then just talk with you about whatever opportunities there might be for us to work with you and help you through those. Sometimes it's like, you know what, all you need is just a 1 hour session with us. Sign up here. That's it. Other times it's like, you know, for what you're trying to accomplish, it's probably going to take a few months of us working together. Here's what that looks like. And so we just want to make sure you get steered in the right direction so we can help you achieve your goals on YouTube and grow your business. So go to videocreators.com/discovery call, and we'll look forward to talking with you soon.
So we asked on the community page for your input. We love to get the conversation going there. And for the last week, you've been asking all your questions for Tim to give you all his wisdom.
We will see about that.
But I love that these questions are a little personal as well as a lot of YouTube. So why don't we just dive right in here? Tim, Farmer Brad, he wants to know, should I just capture my homesteading journey or plan out the videos and only release the more polished ones?
So first of all, before I talk about Farmer Brad, I think it's maybe worth pointing out that you just said that, like, this is a YouTube audience of people who are trying to grow YouTube channels, but they're asking personal questions. You and I just did a session with with a client earlier today, Ingrid, and we talked about the same thing. People don't only want the info; they want the connection, and the personality is a big part of that too. So I find it interesting that it's a podcast about growing your YouTube channel, and people want to hear personal stuff too.
Absolutely.
So it's a good little, like, look, you're already getting some ideas. Like, you might have a YouTube channel about woodworking, but they want to know about, like, what does your house look like and your kids and stuff too. It's not just about the presentation. It's about the conversation and the connection. Any other ION words I can use? Anyway, you get the idea. It's not just straight up info. People want to connect. All right, Farmer Brad. I don't know what you should do. That's all right. I'll just tell him what to do. I don't know. There's no information there to know how to direct him based on, like, what should I do? Capture my homesteading journey, or just plan and, like, should I just post, or should I plan, is what it sounds like. Post, or, ooh, look, that's alliteration too. I would say it's, you can do either. If you're really good at telling good stories on the fly, then just do that. But if you're like most people, including myself, planning the story usually works better, because hey, I'm doing this, and now I'm doing that, and then this happened next. That's not a good story. And it doesn't really tend to perform as well. It's just kind of a series of events, and a series of events does not equal a good story. So I would probably focus on polished, but not polished in terms of production value, polished in terms of story value and how the content makes someone feel. So there you go.
Yeah. And I would also probably say adding all those connectors, like you just said too, right? Yep.
Connectors.
Because kind of like the little bits and pieces about you and the journey. So I think it's kind of a little bit of a combination of that. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, ja, ich bin hier. There's my German for the day.
Wow.
Good job.
Can you say that again?
Yes. Ja, ich bin hier. That's his channel name, which means, yes,
Nice.
I'm here. He wants to know.
How many languages do you speak, Ingrid? Hold on, we're going to talk about you for a second.
Oh boy. Well, I did earn the foreign language award when I graduated high school.
So how many are we talking about here?
Well, just German, English, and I studied Spanish for 9 years. Yeah. I did speak a little bit of French
3
for a couple years when I was really little, but yeah. And I'd love to learn Italian, so I'm done there, I swear.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yes.
So it's like 3.5 languages. That's good. More than my one. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
He wants to know, Tim, what's going on?
That's it. What's going on? Too much. I mean, today I've had back-to-back meetings all day. I'm heading into hour 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right now. There's a lot going on. Getting all the coaching stuff ready to launch at vidIQ. Those who aren't familiar, Video Creators was recently acquired by vidIQ, and part of what that acquisition was about is taking what we've been doing with coaching and clients and working with creators to grow and building that out at a pretty scalable level. So I had a meeting today about how we're going to scale the hiring, the finding and hiring, and not so much training, but so much the hiring part and the processes for that. And then I had another meeting about we're going to be building out some tech to make this scalable as well. And so, so lots of fun meetings, but my head kind of hurts right now, to be honest. So that's what's going on.
Well, kind of on a similar wavelength, an Alaska homestead asked, will the team you assembled stay together with the sale to vidIQ? We still have a lot of questions and not a lot of answers.
I hope so. Yeah. So far, you guys are still here.
We hope so too.
Yeah. So the whole video creators team is all at vidIQ right now, except for Delana, who any of you guys who are a part of the audience know Delana. She was a staple here for years, and she decided that she was not going to move to vidIQ and decided to go a different direction. So we unfortunately lost her and miss having her around, but everyone else moved forward, and we've even hired 2 more people actually on the video creators side to keep up with the work that we're doing with we have more and more clients all the time, which is great. So 2 more strategists. So I guess they'll be on the podcast here shortly. One of them, Blake, already started. He started last week. And then the other one, I think, starts 2 weeks?
Next week. Yeah.
Nice.
Really exciting. So we have another question for you. And this one's coming from, and I don't know if I'm going to say your name right, so forgive me if I don't.
It's in Italian, isn't it?
Minay Wilson. And she wants to know, if you were helping grow an artist YouTube channel, what would you do?
An artist YouTube channel?
Like artist
drawing?
YouTube channel. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it went music or art.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's the tough thing with artists. Can mean a lot of different things. Well, without having any other info than that, I think I would say I would try to strike a balance between what feels like the type of art I really, really love and enjoy and create. And is there a way to tie that into something that people already know, like, and are familiar with in an unexpected way? Because when it's unexpected, it sparks curiosity, it creates intrigue, and people are like, oh, this is different. And that will make it more likely for people to want to watch and check it out. As opposed if it's just like, here's another drawing tutorial on how to draw a cartoon dinosaur. I'm pretty sure that's been done a lot, right? So that doesn't really stand out. But if I really love drawing dinosaurs, I'm making this up as I go, and be like, how could I draw a version of who's a popular figure right now who, if I name them, won't have like political connotations. Everything's so politicized right now. I don't know. Let's take, I'm in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, quarterback of Cincinnati Bengals. So how could I draw a picture that makes Joe Burrow look like a dinosaur? Or a dinosaur looks like, I don't know. I'm kind of making this up as I go. But you get the idea of, like, I don't want to just do the normal thing. I want to do what I love, but is there a way to add something different to it that makes it more curious? And one of those principles is connect 2 things together that don't normally go together, like a football player's face and a dinosaur drawing. But I'm also doing a different principle there, which is connecting what's known to what's unknown. So Joe Burrow is known, but my channel is unknown. And so I could potentially tap into his audience and his fans by drawing that, right? So
Yeah.
I love that.
short version there.
All right, Tim. We got a real hard-hitting question here from the GarageBand Guide.
Yep.
Maybe
This is a tough
my
one.
personal favorite
Get
question.
ready.
Potentially.
Get ready. Me too.
I'm trying to be ready. Go ahead.
When will the goatee be making a comeback?
Never.
No.
Now a beard maybe. Okay, I won't take long on this one. I had the goatee for decades. It was fine. You know, when you're first trying to find yourself, you want to be unique and different. You start growing facial hair. You're like, look at me, I'm a real man now. And so I started. That's exactly how it went down in my head, I'm sure. But then I started thinking, you know, there's a lot of different hairstyles and things that like go out of style. And my kids would be looking back at these pictures and they'd be like, Dad, why do you only put hair like on the front of your face? You know, and it'd be like, I could see how the goatee will one day kind of just be this weird mullet type of thing. So I decided, I don't know, I'm not a fashion guy whatsoever, obviously, but I was just thinking, either the full beard or no beard at all. Like those are two classics I think will just be kind of always a thing, you know? So I decided to shave the beard, the goatee, and my wife and I were both like, whoa, we love kissing way better now. so she didn't really want me to bring it back. And then I brought back the beard to be the Chosen, Daryl Eves Chosen thing. So for my character, I needed a beard. So I grew that out and it was okay. You know, I don't mind the beard, but my wife and I both prefer no beard. So
I was happy when the beard went away.
So was my wife.
Not gonna lie. All right. So then Caitlin on the team here would love to know, how do you handle 7 kids? She has 3 and just that feels overwhelming at times.
Oh man, I have like a whole podcast about this on my personal podcast, a whole episode, I should say. What's it called again? My personal podcast, the
marriage
business,
family podcast.
Yeah, business, family, marriage podcast.
There you go.
Swear. Caitlin, thank you for being our producer here of the podcast. A lot of people don't know that either. And my personal assistant and our customer support and all the other gaps that need to be filled in.
Yep.
So how do I handle 7 kids? People ask me that all the time. And usually what they say is like, I could never do that. And my response is like, yes, you could. Like if you had 7 kids, you would do it. You would figure it out. You would have to, right? And 7 kids in 8 years is a lot. And I think of it actually, I think helped me become a better business person, because a lot of what I had to learn really quickly in my family is that in order for this to be like a fruitful place, we need better systems and processes. Like, so when your business starts growing, you don't be like, you're not like, oh, you don't be like, there's good grammar. You're not like, I got to shut down this family thing because it's growing, or my business because it's growing too much, right? What you do instead, you have growing pains, and instead you're like, growing the business is a good thing. It's a what's the right word? Noble endeavor. So how do we create better systems and processes that can support the business growing from 10K to 100,000 to millions, you know, like how, and so no one shuts down the business side. We understand the inherent value of that. We don't always understand the inherent value of having children and growing a family. And that's not what this episode is about. But when the family grows, the question wasn't like, how do we shut down the family and the growth of the family if we think this is a noble endeavor? Instead, how do we put better systems and processes in place? And I think most of us by default just kind of, we have processes that will support families of maybe 2 or 3 kids. But after that, the systems break down. And so people are like, nope, that's it. No more kids. And that's fine. I'm not like, there's nothing against that. But just for us, the way we manage more kids is by building better systems in terms of discipline and expectations and how we work together. And, even at 2 years old, our kids are helping do chores and unload the dishwasher. We have all our dishes are on the bottom cabinets instead of the top cabinet, so the kids can more easily put dishes away and, things like that. So it's just, just different systems in order to make it fruitful. So like I said, you could do it because you would have to and you'd figure it out. But it wouldn't be the same. You wouldn't be parenting the same way with 2 or 3 as you would with 7 because it's just not sustainable.
So I'm curious as a follow-up question, because Little Crazy Nook asks, I find it hard to time manage homeschooling my kiddos and also working on my channel. Any tips on time management? Because you have this amazing, beautiful family, and yet you're also running a big company at the same time. So how do you add that layer into it?
It's a bigger company now.
Yeah.
than it was before. Yeah, I get that one a lot too. I think I have another episode about that with my wife actually on the Business Family Marriage podcast. I feel like it's turning into a plug for that. I don't mean it to, but I go into more depth about these types of things over there. I feel it's less about managing, because the word manage feels like everything's equal and I have to do it all. And I don't think that's true. I think instead it's more like, what is the most valuable use of my time? And how do I prioritize that above other things? And there's a red line, and whatever falls below the red line just doesn't happen, right? When we think about the idea of balance, the idea of like a seesaw being balanced, by definition, if one thing goes up, something else goes down. And I don't think that trying to keep everything equal will work very well. So for homeschooling, I'm like, all right, yeah, we do our homeschooling, got a schedule. It's we get up, we do some of our animal chores around with homesteading stuff, and then by 8:30 we're starting our school. I'm usually done with that around 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm out here for our first meeting. Sometimes I get up early and catch up on Slack and things like that beforehand, and then do work stuff, and then shut down pretty as close to 5 as I can. And then we have family stuff going on usually most evenings. So, but when the channel was growing, that it was just like, that was a higher priority at that point. Now it's not a priority at all. We don't really do too much on the channel, any channels. I mean, we do this on the channel, but that's it.
Yeah.
So priorities change over time too.
Yeah. Well,
which is a whole nother thing, actually. But
yes,
anyway,
it is.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to talk about how you know when the priorities should change, but that's a whole other topic.
Whole other question.
Like
I do have an episode about that actually too on the Business Family
on the other
podcast.
Yeah. Well, kind of changing gears a little bit now that we got a good glimpse into your personal life. We got a couple questions about. Thank you. We got a couple questions about getting to 1,000 subscribers. So Ripe Banana asks, how do I get to 1,000 subs? They currently have 373.
Yeah, I think we're going to need more information to know how to definitively answer that one. What have they tried so far? What's not working? Who's their audience? How much competition is there? There's a lot of how well are you like, it could be your videos need to be improved, your storytelling. It could be that the videos are great, but the brand is just unclear and people are just confused. And so you have a high bounce rate. People find it and then don't stick around, and YouTube kind of picks up on that. And so they surface it to fewer of those people. So there could be a lot of different things. That's why getting into a discovery call. See what I did there? Yeah.
That was very nice.
A discovery call is probably a good idea, so we can help direct you a little bit, figure out how we can help with that. But I don't think I can just I mean, what would you guys say?
Well, and I'm curious if you might say to somebody who's brand new with channel, how would strategy actually differ for somebody who's at 373 from somebody who maybe is at 37,000 or 370,000?
I think when you're at like a couple hundred subs going up to 1,000, this isn't true for everyone, but I think that the goal shouldn't really be to try to get as many views and subs as possible. I think the goal right now is like, let me just find my voice. Let me just practice making content. Let me work on developing skills that I need and establishing and defining a brand, as opposed to just kind of chasing after views immediately. Those views will come when you develop the skills, some of which I just mentioned, and those skills will lead to views. And so those things become more predictably ways to grow the channel, to pursue those things, as opposed to just like, how do I make a thumbnail, which is a whole nother skill, design,
Yes.
and layout and things. So that's, I would just focus, like, use the time where you don't have a lot of attention, take that as a gift to be like, I can experiment and try a lot of things without disappointing in a lot of people. Because once you have hundreds of thousands or millions, it becomes a lot more difficult to pivot when your livelihood becomes dependent on the direction that you've had success in. So, yeah.
I kind of like how you said that, because, really when you're a smaller channel and you don't have, I know we're always looking to I want to get 10,000 views, or maybe it's 50,000 views, or it's 100,000 views. Better what you did last time. That should be a good goal. If you got retention, 37% at the end, that's awesome. Strive for 45 and then strive for 50. Always just try to better yourself. And what are those little tweaks in the experiments along the way, right? At least that's what I did a long time ago. And I think that's probably what you did too.
And maybe just to tack onto that too, if it's a new channel and there isn't really any content there yet, we talk about quality over quantity all the time. But if I think of kind of like a slider of like, here's a quality and here's quantity, maybe at the beginning, don't make bad videos, but maybe be over here, quantity over quality a little bit, find your voice, make some content, nail down some of these factors, and then slowly move that slider over to quality over quantity once you get there. That'll help a lot too.
Absolutely.
So kind of like to piggyback on that one, Menthology Health Awareness. I love these channel names. These are all great channel names. How long did it take you to reach your first 1,000 sub count? And how frustrating was the journey?
Shoot. Well, I don't know the answer to that, because I got monetized, I think, at like 360 subs back in 2000. When did the partner program start?
Oh gosh, long time ago.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. The channel was, it was like 2008, maybe 9. I don't remember. It was like, it was somewhere back in, I started YouTube in 2006. So a few months after YouTube started in 2005. And so on that channel, I was working on, I had more than 300 subs at that time. It was back then, the partner program, this is before Google owned them. It was invite only, and it was, and I got invited because I knew a guy who knew a guy at YouTube, and that guy put in a word for me. And so the guy monetized my channel. I don't remember how many subs I had and how long it took to get to 1,000. I'm sorry. I know that sounds kind of like snobbish to say.
Well,
I don't mean it that way. I just don't remember. It was like over a decade ago.
I looked it up. Looks like it started in 2007.
And you had a goatee back then.
Yeah. The partner program started in 2007, Sam?
2007. December 2007 was when it launched.
Wow.
Okay, so I was right. Yeah, so it was 2008 then, I think, is when I got invited into that program. So, yeah. A lot has changed since then.
Yeah.
Well, since we're going back far, Laura would like to know, what was the process for you to define the video creator's core values? Where do they ultimately come from? And why did you choose these specific ones?
These are so hard questions. Those hard questions. They're good ones. I don't really. Okay, so core values. Let me start it this way. I have a hard time leading an organization and my family, just like, which you could define as like a quote, air quotes, like organization, right, of people. I have a hard time leading if I don't know what the vision is and where we're going and what's this supposed to look like and what does success look like. And like, I have a hard time just existing and doing the day to day without like a direction of where we're trying to land eventually. I think that's just my personality. And in the absence of that, I create it in other organizations too. So like our family has our own core values and mission and vision. It's one of the first things you see on our wall when you walk in the front door that provides a filter through how we make decisions, how we decide how we're going to spend our time. And again, that's the family side of that. That's a whole nother episode on the Business Family Marriage podcast. But on the video creator side, I was the same thing. I'm like, what do we want to become? What does this thing need to do? And I had gone through like a process myself where I kind of had like an idea of it. But then this was the earlier days. I hired one consultant guy whom you guys haven't met. And fun story though. He's one of the people who offered to buy he wanted to buy video creators. Ironically, he went on and did another thing, but I remember he came over to my house and I hired him. And we were sitting up in this room and he was asking me some of these questions and going through a process called EOS, which is a business system process for organizing and growing businesses. And part of that is, mission, vision, values and stuff. And so I worked on some of that with him. And with him is where the own it, our internal values of own it, do it right came. Those were the only two at that time. And then I work through some of the external ones of mission oriented, results driven, and people first. They became more clearly defined then a few years ago. I think, Ingrid, you were here when Rich was here. I don't know if you were here yet that first year when Rich did with those.
No, I was
Rich
not.
Tile. Okay.
Yeah, I was not.
So Rich Tile was a different consultant I used later. And to really at that time, our company was growing. We had different even departments at that time now. And so I was trying to like, hey, we're only like 11 employees or team of 11 or something. And I can already feel like there's misalignment happening between different departments and competitiveness over resources and like not finger pointing, but more of like, I can feel like that direction. So help us bring alignment while we're still relatively small. And so one of the first things he did with me was that same process of revisiting our core values, and he brought definition to them, but then also then brought them into a mission, a vision, and purpose statements as well. So, and our vision and purpose and mission all being things that create alignment, and we use as filters through how we make decisions and everything. So I guess I'll make a short story long for you. It was, I had some consultants, but I naturally think that way anyway and have a hard time leading without them. But the consultants helped me hone it in and make them more useful as tools. And now I get to do that for other people and creators and in their own families and lives and stuff too. So that's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, travel question for Tim. When will you be visiting Australia to do some talks out here? David Newton asks that.
And can I come with?
Yeah, can I come
never been
too?
to Australia.
I want to go.
So I don't know. I don't have any plans, but there's an Australia VidCon. Maybe one of these years I get to that. I don't know.
Maybe. And I got a couple rapid fire ones for you here. Outdoors in Maryland. If you had an outdoors channel, all right, what would you do to stand out from all the other outdoor channels?
Same thing I kind of said before. Find a way that's true to what I love, but make it different and unique in a surprising kind of way.
Love that. How about Kathy Hudo wants to ask, what days and how often should we post per week? It seems like some of the top channels I follow are often sporadic now, whereas they used to post like clockwork on specific days.
Yeah, that the having a defined schedule and sticking pretty closely to it was a more important strategy in years past. I think now it's more about quality and just get something quality out. And when you have it ready, just publish it. I don't think people are going to YouTube channels the way they used to go to television shows, where it's like a scheduled time at this day every week. I don't know I don't think that's the behavior as much anymore.
And candidly, Sharon H wants to know, do we really have a fair shot? No pessimism intended, just genuinely enters her mind.
At growing on YouTube? Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. I think everyone does.
Well, you heard it right. You heard it here, right?
Yeah, I think some people struggle to make it happen, but it's like any worthy endeavor. It requires some coaching, some training, dedication. I think just taking a swing at bat over and over and over again, the only way you know how, and expecting different results doesn't usually work in any field or industry, which is why we're here, to help people who want to change how they swing at bat.
Exactly. And Jasmine Apple wants us to let you know, well, she has a question. Are you taking care of your health? And then she says, I don't want to hear any more stories about panic attacks, chest pains, and not going to the doctor. She wants to see you healthy on YouTube for years to come.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I went to the doctor today, so guess I'm checking off those boxes. I have been doing jujitsu, picking that up after taking decades off from wrestling, from Pee Wee League and middle school, high school, college, and then coach after college. And now all my high school wrestling injuries are flaring up again. So getting those addressed. I don't know if that's TMI or not, but there you go. I didn't tell you what the injuries were. I just told you I had some.
Well, and the Medical Information Channel wants to know speaking of.
I thought you were saying I should start a Medical Information Channel. No. Okay.
Yeah, the Medical Information Channel wants to know, if I launch my second channel, which will be a hobby channel, would that help me prevent burnout?
I don't know. It might bring it on faster. I mean, there's no way to know. I think it depends on what the elements are that are creating burnout for you. Because for some people, it's just the fact of creating leads to burnout. So I think it depends. I don't know.
I have one last one, Sam. You got a question you want to ask?
Well, I had one. I think it's going to take too long to unpack it, but maybe if there's a rapid fire answer to it, I'm just curious what you're going to say. Ooh. Dancing Alone with Rentals asks, what is the meaning of life?
I have different answers for this depending on who I'm talking to, but I heard one that, and this I think is a little bit more for men than women, based on what I've heard from Jordan Peterson. I like his stuff on YouTube, but he recently was talking about how responsibility creates and brings meaning to life. And how if we don't have something we're responsible for, especially as dudes, it sucks life out of us, and we end up just doing a lot of stupid things and causing chaos, right? And so that was a short version of what he was saying, and which I felt true for me. Like if I need something to be responsible for. But for me personally, I think it's more about I want to see things be fruitful. And as my kind of like, I have it on the front of my personal website now too. I just added there, like, I help creators build fruitful lives in business, family, and marriage. And when I think about like what brings meaning to life for me, it's seeing something that was in a state of chaos, or maybe not chaos, but just unformed, take shape and reproduce value for people and bring fruit to their lives, and then seeing that scale to impact more lives as well. So that's what it is for me. Yeah.
Well, one final question comes from Welcome to Chickenlandia. Dahlia
Hey,
would
Dahlia.
like to know, will you commit to never launching your own chicken YouTube channel?
Yes. I will commit to never launching it. She
You heard
said
it
never
here.
launching it, right?
Never. She said never.
Yeah. There's no, I learned the hard way that if you turn your play, I thought if you turn your play into your work, you never have to work another day of your life. I think we had a whole episode about this, right? And I said, that's not true. Eventually your hobby in your play turns into work, and then it feels like work, and then you'll need a new hobby. So that's certainly what happened to me. And I learned if I make a YouTube channel of it, it turns into work, and it defeats the purpose of what it's supposed to be doing for me. So no chickens on YouTube. We're safe there. At least not my chickens.
Every week we like to leave you with a power tip that you can use on your channel. And now you can even ask and manage questions in live stream Q&A chats. This is going to give creators the ability to manage on-topic questions, as well as viewers the ability to be addressed directly during live streams and premieres, which is kind of cool. What you do is you're going to click the plus sign under the live chat, and then the questions will be added in a question queue, which will allow you to choose which question to answer. Once you select a question, it's pinned to the chat, and that lets viewers follow along. The goal here is to build connection. It's about deepening trust and creating that sense of community. This is a great thing to enhance live questions and conversations by keeping the conversation on topic, as well as giving recognition to the fans engaging in the chat. It's rolled out to every single person on desktop only, but the viewers, they can submit questions on desktop, iOS, and Android.
Can other users upvote and downvote questions in there? Is it like that, or?
They didn't say that, but that would be a great feature.
Yeah, because I used to live stream all the time. I had a moderator just constantly copying and pasting questions from the chat into a Google Doc so he wouldn't lose them. But I'm curious if I would like to have the ability for the viewers to moderate and just prioritize the questions for me, so I can just start at the top of the list and go down.
That's a really smart little tip there. And I have a feeling I'm going to now go to the video I saw that on and give that feedback to YouTube, because you know what? They might love to make little changes, right? They love taking back our feedback and then implementing those things just like this. And I love that you have the ability now to be able to do this, because when you're live, losing questions like that is annoying, right?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Yes. Well, one thing that I learned is we need to make sure to check the community tab over on the YouTube channel, because from time to time, we ask questions like this. And if you have burning questions, we'd love to be able to give you the answers. Thanks so much for listening this week. Hope to see you next week for another Video Creators Podcast episode. See you later. Bye.